Like
Yeah.
different prophets have special things about them. Like Muhammad was the last prophet, for example. But Jesus is what's special about him is that he was born of a virgin, and he is the Messiah, meaning that he is specifically chosen for what he's going to return. Like he's going to return. God. So the Muslim belief is that Jesus was not crucified. God saved him from crucifixion because, as mentioned in the New Testament, Jews were plotting to execute him.
Shocking.
And then God saved him from their plot and raised him to heaven. And then he will return in bodily form as a human at the same age that he was when he was lifted to heaven, which was about 33 years old. And he's going to kill the Antichrist and basically establish God's kingdom on earth. And that's the first time, the only time that that's going to happen. So that's why he's the Messiah, like he's the anointed one. He has that very significant role in Islam. And Muslims believe in this to such an extent that, like, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he was buried in Medina, in Arabia. And there's a big mosque there, the Prophet's Mosque. And he's buried there. And there's a grave that's been buried in advance. It's empty right next to his. And that's the grave that's reserved for Jesus.
They really
because
want to put him right next to Muhammad. I
Yeah.
don't think most Christians know this stuff. Do you?
Yeah, they don't. They think that Muslims hate Christians and hate Jesus.
But
And,
meanwhile, Jews think he's burning in hell and
yeah,
shit.
and a vat of feces. Yeah.
It's wild. So what? I mean, you're probably gonna agree with me. What's your thought of all these foreign wars against, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran? It's just been like, I've been against them from the beginning. It just seems like a nonstop push of our country to fight these pointless wars. Not all of it, but a lot of it seems to be being pushed by Israel.
Yeah, I'm definitely against these forever wars in the Middle East, all for the protection of Israel. Like, none of these wars actually benefit the American people
At all.
And they cost a lot of money. Like the
Trillions.
lower estimates are like 8 trillion for the war on terror. So
Yeah, I think it is like that.
the U.S. has suffered. Like, I grew up, I was born in the 80s, but I grew up in the 90s. I was born in the U.S., obviously, but like the
Were your parents from Iran?
yeah, they immigrated from Iran, like in the
What years?
60s and 70s.
Okay, my dad was stationed over there, so Green Beret, and unfortunately, his dad.
In Iran?
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
I didn't
I know
know.
he wasn't happy with some of the stuff the Americans were doing. Unfortunately, I don't know the details, but he was
Yeah.
over there doing some stuff that I don't. He didn't think was so great.
Well, my dad immigrated for education. So he came for a master's degree, like, and he's,
So
been an
before
engineer.
the revolution.
Yeah, he came before the revolution. Yeah. And then he married my mom, and that was around the same time as the revolution, but it was because he was already here. Like, it wasn't because of anything that was happening in Iran necessarily. But yeah, so I think that that's a big problem that's causing a lot of immigration. And Muslims would prefer to have their own countries. Muslims would prefer to have countries where they can be Muslim and not be attacked by like international human rights law, through sanctions, through invasions. Like, you have to establish freedom and democracy and women's rights and like freedom of religion and freedom, like all of those values being imposed. Like, Muslims would love to have our own countries that we can be in safely without the threat of being attacked or being economically boycotted, etc. But obviously, Israel has its purposes, and maybe your audience is more familiar, like, with what Israel does with its lobby to get America to fight its wars for its own geopolitical interests, trying to establish itself as a hegemony in the Middle East, like where it's the sole superpower surrounded by these vassal states, these Arab countries that are just vassal states. And Israel has this kind of agenda to secularize Muslims because they view religious Muslims as the biggest threat. Like, arguably, like, Christian white identitarians they view as a big threat, and then also religious Muslim.
That's why we're the two groups that's allowed to be attacked.
Exactly.
Who's attacking it? It's like, the same people.
It's the same people. But I also want to put things in a larger historical perspective, because it's not just with Israel, like with the Balfour Declaration in 1917 or the creation of Israel in 1948, that these kinds of domination of the Middle East happened. Like, it predates that because of colonialism.
Yeah.
And you had like the Algerian genocide, for example, where some estimates put at 7 million Muslims were killed. And then other genocides that happened, like, to other people, and Muslims included. And that comes from, again, this kind of liberal Enlightenment philosophy, not Christianity per se. Like, yeah, there's Christian colonialism, But liberal colonialism is much, much worse than Christian colonialism, because Christianity, like, at least they had a concept of converting the natives.
They
Like,
try converting them, yeah.
yeah, try and
They didn't
converting
always
them.
treat them
and-
great, but they tried to convert
yeah,
them.
that's way worse than liberal Enlightenment colonialism, starting with the invasion of Egypt and North Africa. That kind of colonialism is more like a scorched earth. Like, because it's not on a religious basis, it's like, okay, like an atheistic basis.
Yeah.
So if we want like a future utopia throughout the world, and you have all of these people, these savages, if they leave their religions and become atheists and become civilized like us, great. And then we'll like educate them and get them civilized so they accept European values. But if they don't, we're gonna kill them. Like, we're gonna wipe them out and like genocide them. And that's justified, because the ends justify the means. You have a future utopia, future
Well,
generations.
they believe it at least. I'm not gonna say it's justified, but at least they maybe believed in it.
Yeah, but that's the kind of attitude that led to these genocides starting from 300 years ago, and this kind of colonial project in the Muslim world. And a lot of that is something that I don't see white identitarians pay as much attention to. And I think that's really the missing piece. I know that you acknowledge it, because
Acknowledge it. I haven't done a deep dive historically. I don't know as much about it as I should.
Because if you look at immigration, like, why do people immigrate to the West from Muslim countries or South America or wherever?
Well,
it's
Well,
economic, right?